everyone, and welcome to another review. Today it will be the Metro Ranger Spartan helmet from AFactoryAirsoft on Etsy. Alright, to start with, first impressions were excellent once I got it out of the box. It is nicely weighty, very solid feeling, and absolutely gorgeous on first looks. The paint is damn near perfect. Nice detail there. This is the standard weathering. They'll weather it or paint it however you like. That's included in the base price. Also included in the base price is whatever tint you want in the lens. I went for mirrored, which is fairly reflective. Not as dark as I was expecting, but it's very nice nonetheless. Some more weathering shots. Yeah, I love the weather around this. It looks like it's been through the metro. Onto the construction. Now, the biggest issue I had when I was ordering it was that I forgot to ask what it was made of. I was worried that, like a lot of masks, it would be 3D printed. Fortunately, it isn't. It's made with a 3D printed master model, and then there's the actual helmet is cast from impact resistant plastic. So, they use a 3D printed master, cast impact plastic over the top, pop it out, and you end up with a nice solid helmet. There's no worry of layers separating because there's no layers. It's not going to fall apart. It's really good and sturdy. Thickness ranges from, one moment, ranges from about call that 6mm to upwards of 15. So that is a very thick helmet. The lens is an airsoft lens, I forgot to mention, but this is the airsoft model. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between airsoft and cosplay. I think it's mostly in the lens. This is an airsoft lens though, so that is not a cheap, flimsy piece of plastic. There's no give if you press on it. The actual helmet's components are held together with a couple of screws. Two holding in the lens, which I can't quite get a decent shot of. You can just make out there's a couple of screws holding the lens in right there. And you can just make it out there. The lens is not epoxied in place or glued in. It's just a couple of screws holding it on. That's, well, bolts are really, not screws. So if you ever had to replace it or anything, should be fairly easy. And the visor itself, again, just held on by a couple of bolts, which are much easier to see. Right there, one on each side. Again, nice and easy to adjust or remove the entire thing. Something that's not really shown much in the pictures or even in the description is the chin strap. Oh, okay. Again, held on with just a couple of screws. Is it screws or is it bolts? No, bolts. Just with a screw head. It's adjustable and it's fairly comfortable. With how well the helmet actually fits, You don't ever have to worry about it coming off if you're jogging around playing. Onto another thing that wasn't really discussed or shown in the pictures in the description: ventilation. I thought I had to drill out holes myself. I forgot to ask when I ordered it what the ventilation would be, but nope. There's a bunch of holes drilled out here, here, and if you can just see it, they got cheeky with this one, radiation symbol pattern. To help see where they actually are. So you've got very good ventilation. The mask doesn't fog up at all unless you have your mouth covered by, say, a balaclava or a dust mask or something underneath it. Also helping is the very large gap up here. You've got plenty of airflow all through the mask. Now onto the padding. The padding doesn't really get enough attention in the photos on their listing, so I was a bit cautious about what I might end up getting. As it turns out though, this is very, very nicely padded. Pads are all close to an inch thick. I'm not sure how they're secured, but you got the top one, sides, back and front. Not sure how they're secured, but they're in there good. Nice and soft, nice and squishy. These are not cheap, shitty foam inserts. This is closer to, say, a BMX helmet, like a decently priced one. And it is very comfortable. As you can see, the inside of the helmet's nicely smooth and finished. No rough edges or sharp parts. Screws never come in contact with your head, the bolt heads. It is extremely comfortable to wear. With the padding, the little bit of extra space your head has, and the ventilation, which you can see a little better here. This is great for wearing at a cosplay convention, post-apocalyptic event, or even an airsoft game, which this is built for. Some better shots of the ventilation there. This isn't quite as polished, but your face is never going to come in contact with that anyway. It's still very smooth. Some more shots of the padding. The paint is not a flat black, it's more of a slightly glossy black leaning towards gunmetal. Again, they can paint it however you want, as included in the base price. I just got it done standard, how it comes. It seems to be clear coated. I wouldn't worry too much about it wearing off. And even if it does, well, extra weathering, natural weathering this time. It's a nice little bit of subtle weathering around the lens. This is molded in, cast in. The actual lens is, again, just held on the inside with 2 bolts. I'm confident the paint will stand up to quite a reasonable amount of abuse. Weight is roughly 2 kilos, I'd say a fair bit less, maybe 1.5 to 2. Just going by the packing information on the parcel. So that may sound like a lot, but honestly it's quite comfortable. Alright. It's advertised as being fitting a head anywhere from 56 to 64. I'd say a 62 would be about the limit of how big your head can be and still comfortably wear it. My head's 60 and that's fairly comfortable. Once you get used to it, it's a surprisingly roomy helmet inside. 64 might be pushing it. As a comparison, I'd say the fit is about the same as a medium-large BMX helmet. If you want to know if you'd be able to fit your head into this helmet, try on a medium-large BMX helmet, one of the hard-shell ones. They actually fit about the same and are roughly the same size. And you can see that. They're roughly the same size on the outside, and it's a reasonable way to figure out if you'd be able to wear this or not. Alright, I know I've been talking it up. I absolutely love this helmet, but there is two things worth mentioning that you could consider downsides. This gap up here, while it does really help with ventilation and stop the lens from fogging up, it is quite a large gap. You can't really see it from the front when you're wearing it, but it does let a lot of light in, and it is something just to be aware of if you do play airsoft with it, is that there's always a chance that a pellet could go down there. I also wouldn't recommend wearing it in the rain, because, well, you're going to end up very wet-faced. The other concern is actually on the inside. Whoops. Right. Stop that. Right here. On the inside of the lens. If you've got a particularly large nose, or you have the helmet tilted forwards a lot, so where this is actually in contact with the bridge of your nose, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. Won't really hurt, it's not sharp enough to cut or anything, but it's just going to put some pressure on the bridge of your nose, and that can get uncomfortable after a while. Other than that, I can't really think of any concerns whatsoever. Everything else about it is top notch. Alright, so I haven't opened it fully yet on camera, so we'll just do that now. Doesn't quite lock into place. Is that a bit of a shove? Ah, there we go. I wouldn't run around with it like that, but if you want to just pop it up to get some fresh air, you still look awesome, and you can actually breathe. It locks in place nicely enough, as long as you're not... Yeah, it takes a decent bump to get it to go down. Plus it just feels and sounds awesome to pop the lens up and down. Just a better shot of the front. It's worth noting that I have not had a chance to test it for myself yet. I haven't been able to get my hands on an airsoft gun, so I'm going to try it at some point with a set of gel ball blasters. It's close as you can get in Australia, so that'll have to be my best test. I am very confident though that this helmet will stand up to even an airsoft round. They've got some demo videos showing what the plastic they use is capable of, and if I can find them, I will link to those in the description as well. Alright, just for the heck of it, let's see what the visibility is like through here. I don't think the camera will do it justice. You do not lose much of your peripheral vision actually wearing it. Yeah, camera really doesn't show it nicely. Where's the other... Yeah, camera doesn't actually fit properly in the helmet. Basically, if you've ever worn a pair of welding goggles, well, not welding goggles, grinding goggles, you've got a rough idea of how much you can see. You do lose a bit of downward vision, tiny bit of side, not a whole lot of up. But in general, yeah, vision's about perfect for it. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, can you use this in an airsoft game? Can you even use it for a LARP game? Would you be able to shoulder any airsoft guns, Nerf blasters, gel blasters? Yeah, you could. It doesn't really get in the way unless you want to aim down a set of sights that are really... If your iron sights are snug to the top of the weapon, top of the blast or whatever, this will make it a bit difficult. If they're raised up, you shouldn't have too much problem. Honestly, it doesn't really interfere that much. But I'm sure if you were thinking of doing a, say, Metro 2033 live-action role-playing game, you might want to know, can you use night vision with it? Like, while you're wearing the helmet, would it get in the way of goggles? Well, if the goggles are mounted to a headset or something, yeah, it's going to get in the way. If you've got something that's handheld, a little monocular, well, you can see quite clearly through it. Doesn't interfere at all. So you can easily live out your tunnel dwelling fantasies with it. It's a bit more difficult to mount a light on it, unless you want to drill in and permanently mount one, which I would not do. But you could probably fit a head-mounted torch on, just run the elastic around the back, have it set up there. Be easy enough. Now to the biggest thing, screen accuracy. How accurate is it to the games? Well, this is the Metro 2033 and Last Light version. But this is not the Exodus version. And as to how accurate it is, I don't think you're going to get much closer. Maybe if they ever release an official replica, printed from the in-game files, cast that way, that you might find something more accurate. But as it stands, this is the most accurate, best looking and most durable Metro Ranger helmet I've found online at all. Now, the price. For the cosplay version without the airsoft lens, you're looking at around $330 odd. But again, the only difference is airsoft lens. So they'll be using a cheaper one for the cosplay version. As far as I know and can tell from the listing, plastic is the same, build is the same, everything else is just a not airsoft lens. Because on the airsoft lens, that adds it up to a bit over $380. But again, you're getting an extremely screen accurate helmet, extremely tough, extremely durable, extremely comfortable. So if you really, really want a Metro Ranger's helmet, I'd say go for it. Now, I'm not sure I mentioned this before, but you could easily see it during the unboxing part of the video. It is extremely well packaged. The inside is filled with that foam stuff. The entire thing is just mummified in it. And there's some thick foam core on each side of the box to make sure it's not getting crushed. I was really impressed when I opened it up. So, if you're looking for one of these helmets, it's AFactoryAirsoft. I'll put a link to their Etsy and to this particular helmet in the description. They're quite nice to work with. This is not a sponsored video. I asked if I could do a review video and they gave me permission, but it's not sponsored in any way. They do a very wide range of helmets. Star Wars helmets, the Metro helmet, a bunch of custom designs. So if you're interested, they also do a Spartan costume to go with the helmet. It costs a little bit more than the helmet, but it's made to fit and looks pretty darn nice, honestly. I don't have one to show, but it looks gorgeous. Be the perfect accompaniment to a Ranger's helmet. I'm a little more tempted by their Stalker costume from the Stalker games, though. So, in summary, very high quality helmet, good paint job, great padding and comfort, pretty good ventilation, durable lens, nicely mirrored, all at a price that's fairly reasonable. I wouldn't call it a budget helmet by any means, but it is a very good helmet for what you're paying. Be great for cosplays, be great for LARP, and, well, it's an airsoft helmet. So of course it's going to be great for airsoft as well. Alright, but I bet you're wondering, how does it look being worn? Now, just for the fun of it, let's see what it looks like under thermal imaging. Alright, but what about a very important thing about looking like a Metro dweller? Can you wear the helmet and a hood? Well, let's find out. So, as you can see, it'll fit under most hoods. Bigger hood, obviously better, but it'll even fit underneath a normal hoodie. So, in conclusion, if you're looking for a beautifully made, well painted, very durable, very comfortable Metro cosplay helmet or airsoft helmet, this is probably your best choice. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the review.